What is up, guys? Training back today. Today we got back and buys. It's not a pull session, no hamstrings. Gonna be doing 4 back movements, a rear delt movement, and then 2 bicep movements, and kind of talk about each one as we go through and do them. When you're watching the training today, keep in mind that, you know, the goal is to, in the words of Lee Haney right now, stimulate, not annihilate. If the rep's really slow moving, but I make it happen by myself, I'll shut it down. If it was a good rep by myself, I'll take another one, and if Jordan has to help a little, okay. What I'm not gonna do is, you know, barely get one and then launch another one and have him have to like row it with me. So keep that in mind when we're training today. All right, so another thing that I've done with my training in the last couple of weeks is, you know, through the off season when the priority was absolutely grow as much as possible and put the tissue on in certain spots, my lower lats specifically. I believe that's an area targeted best, doing a lot of unilateral motions. This close with energy at a premium, I have swapped out a lot of the unilateral movements for, you know, bilateral movements that are almost as good in my mind. So that's why, you know, today we're starting with the bilateral Rogers instead of doing it, you know, unilaterally or doing another unilateral row like you've seen us do a lot for a starting back movement. So still the same order in terms of, you know, lower lat row, lower lat pull down, upper back row, upper back pull down, and then move on. Do 3 working sets, unilateral Nautilus pull down, very much so like I said for a lower lat focused pull down, and then from there move on to the Body Masters T-bar. Regardless of whether you train by yourself or with a training partner, you will be much better off allowing yourself 1.5 to 2 minutes of time in between sides to recover. So if you're training with someone, there's enough time to switch the weight, let them do their set. You know, if you're training by yourself, really, you know, take a second, control your breathing, you know, recover. You know, if you're always doing it the other side right after the first side, your oxygen deficit isn't replaced. You know, your CNS is, you know, all elevated and excited, not that it won't be during the training session, but you know, you're doing the other side a disservice. So make sure you're allowing a little bit of time to recover in between your unilateral exercises.
Sure.
3 working sets of the unilateral Nautilus pull down, moving from there to a T-bar row. We're going to be doing ours in the Body Masters with an upper back focus, meaning handles that are here, letting the elbows flare, not aiming to keep them tucked, and on the lower handles as we would for a lower lat focus row. Biggest thing that we're trying to accomplish here, and I see a lot of people trying to do this, but they just do it really wrong, so keep it in mind, is at the bottom of the movement, we want to be letting it pull us in half, but we don't want to be letting it round our spine. So you want your spine absolutely rigid the whole time, and your scapula and your shoulder girdle traveling around it. So at the bottom, you don't want to be letting it pull you over and round your spine. You want to have a flat back and a full protraction and then get into that full retraction. Let me show you what I'm talking about. My back is flat. That's full protraction. That's letting my spine round like a piece of shit. So, nice flat back, full protraction, full retraction. Flat back, full protraction, full retraction. Flat back, shoulders and scap traveling around, nice rigid spine, full retraction. That's what we're going after. All right, that's it for rear delts, one and done. It's one triple drop. So that is all of the back work and the rear delt work for today. All we have left is 2 bicep movements, and if you've been keeping up with me for any length of time, you already know what they are. It's going to be a preacher curl and a step forward cable curl. So let's knock those out and get the hell out of here. If you look at this, we're getting peak resistance whenever this makes a 90-degree angle. So roundabouts right there at peak contraction pretty much. So peak resistance when the muscle's shortest, which is also where, for the most part, muscles are weakest. There's exceptions to those rules, but a muscle is typically weakest when it's shortest. So we start with an exercise that overloads the shortened position, whether it be a dumbbell preacher, the strive preacher loaded in such a way. And then we move on to a step forward cable, which really loads the starting position, because that 90-degree angle that I was talking about is basically in the whole of the exercise. So it's heaviest when the muscle's longest and strongest. That's why we go from preacher to step forward. Alright guys, so biggest thing that you want to keep in mind doing the step forward cable curls is, you know, the portion of the range of motion that you're trying to stress and the position you're trying to put the muscle in, and that is with it long. So you want to keep in mind, you know, you step forward and then you keep your upper arm frozen back here. And as you curl, pretend you're almost doing a drag curl. We don't want to come way up here and get our upper arm up here. We want to have from here to here as frozen as possible. And granted, there will be some, forward motion to it, but we want to avoid coming like that. We want to stay with it stretched and in the lengthened position, really drag the hands up and really get that good resistance at the bottom.